haircuts and leadership. Those two things don't really go together when we're talking about trying to be a better leader. But in this instance, I'm going to tell you about my experience at a local Great Clips and how that can impact your leadership skills on a daily basis. Stay tuned to find out more.
Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. I am Alex Swire-Clark, human behavior expert, author, and award-winning speaker. Understand yourself and others to unlock your potential.
Hey everybody, Alex Swire-Clark here, emotional intelligence expert, author, and award-winning speaker. And in this video today, we're going to talk about leadership skills from the standpoint of how we react and how we respond to different situations. So I was at my local Great Clips. My daughter was at a tutoring session after school. And so in between that time when she was doing her tutoring session, I was going to get my hair cut. So I went down to the Great Clips side and I used my app to log in and check in early. So it said I had about a 25-minute wait or whatever. And so I go in, I put my stuff in there, ching, sing, send it off, and we're good to go. Show up to the store, and it says I'm number 4 on the list. So there are 1, 2, 3, and then my name. And it said, hey, did you check online? And I said, sure, I did. And so I said, I'm Alex. I'm number 4 on that list. And so they said, good, we got you checked in. So, so I did that. And so there were 3 college kids ahead of me. Bob Jones University is pretty close by. And so I said, well, I'll just wait out here in the car. So I said, I should be outside. They kind of waved at me. And then I went back out to the car and, sat down, was doing some emails and doing some work and that kind of thing, trying to multitask. And then it said my approximate wait time is 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it said on the app, because that's what they normally do in terms of giving you kind of a countdown. So when it was about 5 minutes, I decided to put my mask on and go back inside. And I noticed that there was another person sitting in a chair getting their haircut that was not one of those 3 college kids. Because when I'd gone in to check in, there was like 2 guys and a girl who were all together. And then there was a gentleman, a gray-haired gentleman, who was getting his hair cut. And I was like, wait a minute, I had my eye on those sitting out in the car right in front of the store, those 3 college kids. And so basically when that third one went in, I was going to get their haircut. I was going to go up there and get my haircuts just because I knew I was next in line. And so this gray-haired guy was sitting down and there was a 5th name on that list. When you go into Great Clips, they have the list on a computer screen so you can see where you are in the line. And the gray-haired guy was getting his haircut in my spot. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? I've already checked in. I've done everything right. They tell you to wait in the car. There's a sign on the front door that says, if you check in, they'll come out and get you. So I'm just following the rules, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But the gray-haired guy'd walk in. I mean, he just walked right in front of me in the car. I'm sitting in the car and he walks in the thing. I'm like, oh, well, he's going to check in or wait and be after me or whatever. But the dude skipped me. But so was it the gentleman's fault for skipping me, or was it the people that were working in the Great Clips that was, that just didn't follow the right procedures? So anyway, in that moment, I was a little triggered. I'll give it to you. I mean, I was pretty frustrated because I've been waiting patiently, 15, 20 minutes for my haircut. I knew that I had kind of a timeline because I had to go back and get my daughter from her tutoring session. And so I'm thinking to myself, where did the breakdown happen? What was going on to make this situation a situation where I'm getting triggered? Well, if I'm thinking to myself, what processes were they following? What was the deal there? And why was I getting triggered? So in the world of business, in the world of life, we are given responsibility according to our respondability. We are given responsibility according to our respondability. So let's break that down for a minute. And that's the key point of this whole talk, is that our ability to respond impacts everything in terms of what we do in our lives. So in that moment of me being triggered and seeing the guy in the chair, I could have said, Miss, I'm sorry, but I was number 4 on the list. And why is that guy there? Because he clearly was not next. I could have approached it like that. I could have sat back. I could have been caring. I could have been, what were the procedures here again? Because, I did exactly what I was supposed to do, but yet I got bumped in line. How did that happen? So I could have been confrontational. There's a lot of different ways I could have taken that conversation. So anyway, I mean, I was feeling kind of like Bill Bixby's character, in The Incredible Hulk. If you watch the Incredible Hulk back in the 70s and in the early 80s, he gets triggered and his eyes turn green and he starts to rage on everybody. And so I kind of felt like that. I was like, I did everything I was supposed to do. I put my name in the system. I showed up. I checked in. I said, hey, I'm here. Did you check in online? All that kind of stuff. And yet I still was skipped by someone else. So at that moment, I have to respond. Right? And as I tell my kids all the time, the only thing we can control are our attitude and our actions. That's it. All we can control in this world are our attitude and our actions. So if you're a CEO watching this, and a company comes in and steals one of your customers, all you can control is your attitude and your actions. How are you going to respond in that moment? If you're a teacher watching this video and one of your students does something to you, there's going around right now, there's this dumb social media, like TikTok kind of challenge that's going on that says, steal something, your challenge for a day is to steal something from your teacher. I'm like, come on, people. Seriously, are we as a society that bad where we're stealing from teachers who are already under a lot of stress and pressure and everything else? That's a story for another day. So again, all we can control is our ability to respond and the attitudes that we have in terms of our normal daily life. So in that situation, I could have responded in a number of different ways that I already discussed. And so typically, from a personality style standpoint, we've always talked about predictable behavior on these episodes. Well, certain styles are going to predictably behave in certain ways. So a D in that situation could have gotten very confrontational very fast. Miss, I'm sorry, that guy needs to get out of my chair because I was checked in fourth. I was out in the car. I did exactly what you're supposed to do. I need to get my hair cut. So what are you going to do about this? Fix it. We need to fix it right now because those Ds are about bottom line getting results. And if a D gets triggered, they become very direct. If you've ever seen my series of videos that we talk about the different behaviors of those different styles, one of their watchwords when they get triggered for Ds is defiant. They're going to get defiant. They're going to get really in your face, very direct. That guy's in my chair. We need to fix this now because I was checked in before him and I've got places to be. If you're a high I, you're going to be more of a flexible kind of person. So it's like, okay, it's all good. I mean, just whatever, but can we make sure we get this done? Because I've got to pick up my daughter. So you're going to be kind of joking about it and be, playful about it, but you still want to get your hair cut in a timely fashion. If you're an S, you're going to be a little bit more understanding of that situation. Maybe the guy has an elderly mom to go take care of, or maybe he's got to pick up his granddaughter from daycare or whatever happens to be. So S's typically are going to be more selfless people. They'll put themselves after somebody else because that's just who they are normally. And then you've got your C's who are all about the procedure. And so they're going to be very cold in those moments when they're triggered. So they're going to go straight to the facts. I did exactly what you're supposed to do. Why is the guy in my chair? Why did you not call me in? I was sitting here in the car. I told you I was going to be outside. I was sitting here in the front the whole time. I did everything right. Okay? This isn't fair. And those C's are all about being correct and about being fair. I followed the procedure. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. Why did I get this outcome? Why? Those C's always ask that question, why? And so in the business world, in industry, in the classroom, in higher education, if you're working as a custodian, if you're working as a chemical engineer, it really doesn't matter. Again, our ability to rise in our organization, our ability to maintain our employment is based upon our ability to respond. So our responsibility is based upon the level at which we can respond. If we just go ape crazy, at the drop of a hat, anytime something bad happens, and our response, is going to be negative a lot of times, well, we're not responding effectively, and therefore our sense of responsibility is going to be capped. They're not going to put us in charge of team members or employees, or they're not going to put us in charge of our biggest and best clients that we want to keep for a long time because we're not going to be responding in a habitual, effective manner. And so that limits us. So what I would suggest to you as a takeaway from this video is let's make sure that our ability to respond is in place. Let's think before we act in those situations. D's and I's, I'm one of you. I'm an I out there. We got to control a little bit. We got to think before we respond. And C's and S's, yes, you guys are great about thinking and responding, but you do need to respond. You can't just sit there on it. Too many times our C's and S's, they have a tendency, and when they get triggered, to be a little bit more passive aggressive. So they end up in situations where they don't want to respond. They just kind of stew on it for days and days and days and days and days, and then they explode. So you need to be able to communicate. You reserve styles, you C's and S's. Communicate when things happen to you. Talk through those problems, because if you talk through those problems, then we become a greater sense of awareness from the self-awareness side and the social awareness side. So again, the Great Clips lesson for today is when you get triggered, be aware of that. Get some self-awareness going on. Get that triggering down. Like, okay, I'm triggered. Here's why. Okay, and here's my response to it. So again, if my response is a net neutral or even positive, I'm going to be better off. The situations are going to be less toxic. And quite frankly, when we let other people control our attitudes from things that are beyond our control, we're really missing the boat, because that guy has no idea, that I'm out there waiting or that I'm triggered by this event. And so I'm letting him steal control from me of my attitude, my actions in this moment. And he's not even trying to. So again, somebody cuts in front of you in line, Somebody, takes your spot in terms of where you are in the bus ticket, whatever the example happens to be. They cut in front of you at Publix when you try to order a deli sandwich, just because they didn't see you over their head, or maybe it was intentional. Your ability to respond to those situations. Are you going to punch them? Are you going to say, get out of my way, or no, you weren't here first? Are we going to seek the right outcome for the sense of being right? Are we going to seek an outcome that serves both parties in as best as we can? It's those key moments when we respond that really test our levels of leadership and how we can be effective when working with others in the public, in our personal lives, and all across the board. If you have any questions, again, I'm always here for you. I do have tons of free material out there. We've got our podcast, of course, if you're listening to this now. We've got our YouTube channel. Of course, we've got our free couples mini course that's available on my website. I'll put a description and the details below. And so if you've got any questions, you have my contact information. I'm out there at contact@alexswire-clark.com. Feel free to email me anytime that you have those things. We have full courses for you to take for couples, for you in the business setting. We've got those emotional intelligence courses out there for you. We offer assessments for you to be able to understand what's this whole DISC thing he's talking about in this particular episode. Well, I've got the access to those assessments. They're less than $15 a piece. They provide a tremendous amount of value and conversational pieces between you and friends, significant others, colleagues at work. They're just tremendous in terms of getting to know yourself a little bit better, understanding others so that you can adapt your behavior to meet others where they are. Thanks for watching today. Appreciate all it. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. Appreciate everything that you guys do for us. In terms of your questions that you bring, because one of these questions might have come from you like, oh, I wish I would have asked that. So if you have those questions, we can certainly answer those in a public forum like this, or we certainly answer them for you in a private format through a email or a instant messaging or a text message. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you the next time.